Holy shit, did we see a fucking awesome event tonight. Not saying that NXT TakeOver 25 was better than NXT TakeOver New York, because there was a lot of matches that were very, very highly liked. Everybody was into every single match in that event. But this match, this event, it had its cool down moments. Nothing too bad. I mean, they were still all in this entire show from beginning to end. The thing is that some of the matches were solid, good matches, but nothing of the quality of NXT TakeOver New York, in the sense that every match on the card fucking was unbelievable. Now, up to the main event, I thought the ladder match for this event was the show, the show stealer of the night, or this matchup stole the show, I should say. The four-way tag team matchup, the fatal four-way tag team matchup in a ladder match, was actually a really great match. This and the main event was a fucking mind-boggling match. Both of these matches were mind-boggling. Shayna Baszler's women's championship title defense was a very solid and very good ending. Oi Shirai looked very good in this matchup, the way they had it ended, which I'll get into that with you guys as soon as I get to it. But let's go into the matches here. I'll go ahead and give you a brief synopsis of how I felt about each and every match, and just my overall rating on each one. First match is Matt Riddle and Roderick Strong. This matchup was a fucking barn burner of an opener. I really enjoyed watching this match. This match had everything to offer, at least for an opener. It got the crowd very excited for this show. As always, they always do a good job in the opener and throughout most of the entire show on every NXT TakeOver event. How Triple H has not decided at this point, being as fed up as he is with Vince McMahon, that he hasn't picked up his ball and went somewhere else, not like AEW, but starting his own wrestling company from the ground up. I think he probably does have the money to do something like that, instead of waiting for his opportunity to run the WWE himself with his wife and his brother-in-law. I guess his brother-in-law would have some say in the matter of creative. But quite frankly, at this point, if he's that fucking fed up of Vince McMahon and the way he does things creatively, my God, this man took everything that you're supposed to do in a wrestling event that his father-in-law used in his wrestling company a long time ago. He had people playing possum. He had people using the other person's finishers. He had freaking people doing high-flying maneuvers that were outrageously insane. Bone-crushing freaking ladder match that we saw. I mean, everything in between. Character development. The storyline telling in the matchup itself. Everything you need in a wrestling event was presented in this show. Everything. You had excitement. You had people fucking intrigued from beginning to end. You had a full-on participating crowd in this show. They were part of the show. They weren't disconnected from it. This had all the elements to keep this crowd interested and entertained for what they were paying their money for. Roderick Strong and Matt Riddle did that to start things off. Yes, the match had its moments of being slow, but By mid part of the match, the gears started turning. They started getting better. I'm sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. It's making me cough as I talk. So excuse me in between I'm coughing in this video. But each time, each moment that they got closer and closer to the end, they keep busting out the fucking gears in the show and making it better and better and fast pace. There's a pace to the fucking matches. It's like, if you really think about it, if you look at professional wrestling as a way of like presenting an actual song, okay? You take rock music for example, okay? Because rock music goes very well with professional wrestling. When you think of rock music, you think of physical combat hard sport, not loosey-goosey rap music. Rap music, you think more of like basketball or maybe baseball, I guess. Even football for that matter, even though it's hard hitting, football's got both rock and rap in the way I feel about it. But that's just my opinion. But when you really look at wrestling, you're not really thinking of rap music. You think of rock music. Hard octane metal music, which is what wrestling is like. It's like metal music. Some people like it, some people don't. That's the reason why the fucking main roster is a bubblegum pop culture fucking music type feel to it. NXT and other wrestling companies that care about professional wrestling actually have this thing called a flow to their show. Yeah, I made that rhyme. I know, that's kind of funny. But they actually have a flow to the show. You can tell by just watching it. Each and every match had a style of what wrestling can provide to us. We've seen it in the past. Roderick Strong and Matt Riddle, just going back into that, and I'll move on to the next matchup. I'm not going to go completely off base every time I go into a match with you guys. But Matt Riddle and Roderick Strong was a decent opener. Very solid matchup, and I really enjoyed watching it. So I can't really say nothing more but a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Now, the next matchup was the ladder match for the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team matchup for the vacated Tag Team Championship. This matchup ending surprised the living hell out of me. I was shocked that the Street Profits walked away with this victory, and by all means, they walked away very out of nowhere. They just straight up they were like RKO out of nowhere. They just fucking what's his name? Montel Ortiz, whatever his fucking name is, the skinnier version, the skinnier guy on the Street Profits. He popped out of fucking nowhere and knocked off Wesley Blake off the top of the ladder and got the victory. After he after Angelo Dawkins speared fucking Steve Cutler out of nowhere underneath the ladder. So that was pretty much the ending of that matchup. Most of it was spent with Riker going ahead and helping the Forgotten Sons try to pick up this fucking victory. They made him look better than the tag team, which I think was totally disrespectful to Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake. I think the whole thing was completely ridiculous to have Riker actually show up at this match. Now, they made him look like $1 million. $1 million. He was fucking tearing it up with all the tag team combatants in this matchup, and they made him look great. But at the end of the day, this was a tag team match, not a fucking singles match. And their respective tag team was actually in this matchup and making them look fucking pathetic by having him destroy everyone on the tag team roster. Because at this point, NXT tag team's roster has come down to 4 fucking tag teams. They had all 4 of their tag teams on this fucking roster. If there is anything that NXT really needs to work on right now, they need to get some more tag teams. At least 2 more. To at least round out to 6. That way they could, maneuver around and figure out newer opponents to compete against. But right now, 4 is not going to cut it. They need 2 more tag teams. That means 4 more wrestlers added on to their roster at this point. You could always throw the club in there. You could throw in the fucking... You could throw in the Revival, throw them back down to NXT. Hell, you got Tyler Breeze showing up out of fucking nowhere because he ain't got nothing good for him to do. So you put him on NXT for that one matchup with Velveteen Dream, which I'll get into next after I speak a little bit more about this tag team match. Kyle O'Reilly should get a fucking medal or a trophy for MVP, most valuable. Actually, it should be called. It should be called MVB, which stands for Most Valuable Beat Up Guy. Okay, or Beat Up Toy, whatever you want to fucking put it. Okay, he was beaten up to shit. This guy's back had little fucking red marks all over his back. That poor motherfucker was put through hell, and for some whacked out reason, Bobby Fish is walking out on the main event celebrating with Adam Cole. Ooh, I told the result. Oh no. If you watched the fucking event, good for you. If you didn't, you're a fucking loser for not watching it. Because this freaking show is unreal. Now, he did come out with Bobby Fish came out with his arm in a sling, which didn't really make a lot of sense. I didn't see anything wrong with him. But as you watch the end of the show, he comes out in a sling celebrating with the Undisputed Era that Adam Cole won the NXT World title. So, the Undisputed Era, both Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, they got their asses whipped in this matchup. They really put themselves through a lot of bumps and bruises throughout this entire match. They took a lot of the bumps in this match, personally, I felt. Now, granted, everybody else got their share of bumps in this matchup, as they should have, because this match was fucking dangerous as shit. Anybody could get really hurt and get broken bones and what have you. Overall, though, this match really was top-notch. If it wasn't for the main event, this would have been the fucking show stealer. It would have stole the show. And so I give this match a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Most definitely. And the only reason why I give it a 4.5 instead of 5 is because of fucking Riker being involved in this matchup, destroying everyone and looking like he's the best of the best. I mean, it took literally all 6 men to eliminate this fucker, and yet he still kept getting back up anyway, playing a strong factor into this matchup and almost getting the Forgotten Sons the fucking win and winning the tag team titles. That is, to me, it was ridiculous. Because this guy does not deserve that kind of push at all, because he's not that great. He went by the name Gunner in TNA, and he wasn't all that good either. He really wasn't. I didn't find him impressive. He didn't entertain me whatsoever. His wrestling skills are very, very slim to none. He doesn't have the capability to get a crowd excited. That's just how I feel. I watched some of his matches in NXT. A couple of times they put him in a one-on-one match. He really did not do anything to get me excited. So, fuck him in that matter. So yes, the Street Profits walk away victorious and have become the new tag team champions completely out of nowhere. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was unbelievable that the Street Profits win that match. Now, Velveteen Dream and Tyler Breeze for the NXT North American Championship. This matchup was a very decent, solid matchup. I didn't feel that this was a bad matchup, but it was probably the weakest one out of the bunch. Strictly because it really didn't strike me so much. I'm not, like I said in my preview predictions video, I am not a Tyler Breeze fan. I really don't care for his in-ring work. He is a very lower down version of a Shawn Michaels ripoff. He is not exactly the most exciting character in the world. He doesn't come across as good as Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream is his version on steroids. His character is overinflated. That is what Velveteen Dream is, and that's what makes him special. Tyler Breeze is just a miniature cruiserweight version of what he should be like Velveteen Dream. That's all there is to it. I personally feel that Tyler Breeze belongs on a cruiserweight division. I think he would fit very well with them. Now, granted, do I think that is the right thing for him to be placed at this point, based on how long he's been working for WWE and the fact that he has provided some really decent matchups in his early days in NXT? No, I really don't. But at this point, based on his stature, his his height and everything, he would get over better with the cruiserweight division. Him competing against a guy like fucking Velveteen Dream, who's, I do believe, is really 6 feet or better tall. It really doesn't add up. It doesn't, the statures are really off. This is Velveteen Dream, this is Tyler Breeze. They don't match up in stature. It just is like, it's like a heavyweight facing a fucking lightweight fighter. It doesn't... No, I wouldn't say Velveteen Dream heavyweight. I'd put him more along the lines like a middleweight, while Tyler Breeze is a fucking lightweight fighter. Okay, if you want to compare UFC fighting to a fucking WWE wrestling event, okay? But bottom line is, this matchup really wasn't nothing more than a passing of the torch. That's all this was. This was Tyler Breeze passing the torch over to Velveteen Dream, really. Because at the end of the match, Velveteen Dream retained his championship, of course, and they both stood there taking a selfie and kind of basically showing some sportsmanship and respect to one another as competitors. So, I'm sorry about that. As I'm talking, I'm really having a problem. It's like tickling my throat, and it's causing me to want to cough. But yeah, this matchup was a 3 out of 5 stars. It was a solid, okay matchup. This matchup could have been on the opener, but because it's in the middle of the show, it's not a big deal. It wasn't even near the main event. But yeah, this matchup went back and forth. It was pretty solid, good action. I have no complaints here on the matchup itself. None of the wrestlers here did a bad job presenting a good wrestling show. I'm not, even though I am saying that Velveteen Dream and Tyler Breeze's match was the lowest ranked match out of the bunch of all 5 of them, does not mean that this match was bad at all. It was clearly not bad at all. It just, in my opinion, I just didn't feel that this was the highest ranked match out of everything that was on this card. Now, would this have been a great matchup for a NXT regular show, for the weekly show? Absolutely. This would be great for a main event matchup on there. But this was not a pay-per-view quality type of match to me anyway. I really didn't feel that this had the equivalent of being in the pay-per-view. But it made it on the pay-per-view, and it was a very good, solid matchup for what it was. And I enjoyed watching it. I'm not going to deny that. Everything on this show was good or great. No matter what I'm saying about this matchup was very decent. So there's no complaints here coming from me. I just didn't feel, comparison to everything else that's on this card, it could add up. And I wasn't talking positive about this matchup when I did my previews and prediction video on it. So, excuse me if I don't agree with everybody's decision, if you guys don't agree with me on this. If you do, well, great, then there's nothing more to be talked about here. But if you have any complaints about my opinion about that matchup itself, leave your comments and opinions down below. Let me know what you guys think. I have an open mind. I have no problem listening to other people's opinions and sharing and debating about them. So it's totally cool. But then we're going to move into the Shayna Baszler, Io Shirai NXT Women's Championship matchup. This matchup was the third best match on the card. If it wasn't for the ladder match, this would be the second best because there was very good technical wrestling involved, and the main event did it even better. Let's just put it that way. This matchup was good chain wrestling. It had everything you're looking for in it. I think they provided a very good real-life wrestling, real-life sporting type feel storytelling in this match. The women from the Four Horsemen that were coming down to the ring that worked for Shayna Baszler, they didn't really play a major factor in this because Candice LeRae came down and pretty much eliminated them out of that whole situation. But there was a lot of stuff going on here that led to Io Shirai's demise. She got distracted a couple of times. She was really not doing... She was placed in certain situations that made her have no way out, which was basically the ending. She came at the end of this matchup where she was in the Takeover clutch, or technically a rear naked choke, and she fought valiantly to try to get out, but couldn't. The first time she did. The second time she didn't. The second time she came very close to getting out of this, but what she had to do would have made her pass out anyway, and she tried to pull herself forward while having Shayna Baszler's arm around her neck, and there was just no way she could do it. If she tried, she would have ended up being fucked. And Shayna Baszler did something that was super intelligent, which I appreciate by Triple H and NXT, to provide this bit of detail. Paying very close attention to Io Shirai's legs, Shayna Baszler took her legs and tucked it underneath her, making it extremely hard to reach for the ropes. She would have had to really use all of her body weight to pull up even further higher up in the air, and that would have caused her to pass out. Eventually, she did manage to get her legs back in front of her by pure willpower and so forth, but still, at the end of the day, she still needed to carry Shayna Baszler's body weight with her and also pull forward while Shayna Baszler's arm is wrapped around her throat. That would have knocked out anybody in a real life situation. So, at the end of the day, she did what any other intelligent human being had to do. She had to tap out. She had no choice. She was in checkmate. There was nothing she could do. And that is why she lost. She didn't lose because she got beat. Really, she didn't really lose because she was beaten. She lost because she had no way out. Shayna Baszler made sure of that. Because she has the technical skills to do that in real life. So it's able to be used in these situations to make them look legit to us as the audience watching these matches unfold with Shayna Baszler. That's what makes Shayna Baszler so fucking great. If it wasn't for Shayna Baszler's MMA training, I don't think she wouldn't be able to get over with this. I really don't think she would be a legit wrestler. And that's why she's successful in this company. She is doing it better than Ronda Rousey ever did it, but that's just because of creative in WWE. I really believe that. I don't think that was Ronda Rousey being the one at fault for anything that's going on here, what happened to her throughout 2018, because her run as champion really didn't strike me as all that impressive. I mean, she did have some really good matches, but her opponents were downright dreadful. Shayna Baszler is getting top of the line fucking opponents. She's gotten both Kairi Sane and Oi Shirai, two of the best Japanese wrestlers on the planet. The only one that she hasn't gotten a face yet was fucking Asuka. And Asuka at this point in the realm that she's in WWE is downright horrible. So her facing Asuka at this point wouldn't do her any good anyway. But Asuka in NXT at the time, holy shit, would that have been a fucking great matchup. So that's really all there is to say on this match. Very good technical wrestling. Very close eye to detail. Now, we get into... Oh yeah, and this matchup was a 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely a very good match. The next matchup was Adam Cole, baby, versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT World Heavyweight Championship. This is just a 1 falls count match. Whoever won the first fall wins the belt, of course. This matchup, my God, breathtaking. But beyond comparison to anything they did in New York, this was fucking unbelievable. Really, this matchup had a long drawn-out match that kept you on the seat of your pants. You were fucking crunching your fingernails through your fucking armchairs, okay? Through the arms of your chair. This shit was so fucking good. Whoever you were cheering for to win, you were on the edge of your seat, hoping and praying whoever you were cheering for was going to pick up that victory. And my God, that audience loved both of these guys. Most of them, though, did like Adam Cole. And I kind of hate that fact that when they did the forearm exchanges, Johnny Gargano was being booed while Adam Cole was being cheered by 100% by the audience. But at the end of the day, we did hear "Let's Go Johnny Wrestling," "Let's Go Adam Cole" chants back and forth. So, with that being said, I'll forgive the audience for that. But regardless of what they were cheering for, who they were hoping to win, I love both of these guys. I think both of these guys should be the fucking face of the company. But, Roman Reigns and all those other guys will probably still be there when they show up to the main roster, and they'll get nothing out of it and probably go nowhere. Like every other fucking NXT guy that's ever showed up. My God, how fucking depressing can you really get? You see the fucking talent like this performing under an event like this, and they provided and gave us 3 hours of solid wrestling. I'm dumbfounded. I really don't understand this. But going back to the main event, these guys presented a story. They used injuries to help have them have an advantage over their opponent. And at the end of this match, Johnny Gargano's injury to his leg was that little cherry on the top that gave Adam Cole the win. They also stole each other's finishers. Adam Cole did the modified crossface that Johnny Gargano provides. And Johnny Gargano hit the last shot on fucking Adam Cole. Unbelievable. Johnny Gargano played possum in this matchup to hit his submission hold on Adam Cole. I could not believe the things that were going on in this matchup. Then reverse psychology to Johnny Gargano outside the ring. Adam Cole's acting like he's calling in the Undisputed Era to give himself some time to actually recuperate and get the cobwebs out of his head and get some control over this matchup before he would lose control of it and lose the match altogether. So great fucking moment right there. They had reverse psychology. They had everything going here. Adam Cole's shoulder was fucked up. They played that into the whole matchup when Johnny Gargano put in his submission hold, that modified crossface. I mean, they did everything in this matchup. Everything in this matchup that they used to do back in the day in WWE. That worked. And it still does. So you go ahead and figure it out and tell me how the fuck old school wrestling is dead. Because it ain't. This show is 100% old school wrestling at its finest. Regular guys performing in a ring at a high level. Some have some major gimmick that gets them over. Some don't, and are just average Joe guys that can just perform at a high level. This is what wrestling needs to be on the main roster to get over for us as fans. And I have one thing, and then I'm going to close this review out. Wouldn't it be neat if one day a wrestler gets everyone together behind closed doors and talks to as many people as they possibly can, get them all together, maybe like 30 or 40 guys all together at some point, and have them all do a Rock Mick Foley Triple H situation. If you remember watching back in the Attitude Era, in 2000, Rock had the entire roster out in the ring telling Triple H and Stephanie McMahon if they don't go ahead and rehire Mick Foley back to the WWE and give him a WWF World Championship matchup at the Royal Rumble, they're all leaving. Now, could you imagine if they had one guy who really wanted to express their dislike towards this fucking shit that they've been doing? Have them all come out in the middle of the ring and circle around the ring, and the one guy that's supposed to do the speaking for everybody say, look, I'm sick of this shit, Vince. This show is dying. We're dying from within. We want to better this show and make a difference in the wrestling industry. We want to entertain this audience. You call this sports entertainment? We call this garbage. This is not entertaining our audience. We deserve better than this, and so do they. They pay a lot of their hard-earned money, and we bust our fucking asses, and we walk around with injuries for months and maybe even years on end without getting surgery done. It would be really nice if they would do something like that. Now, if that's going to happen, I highly doubt it, but if it does, by God, he would get fucking ratings out the ass. People would be talking about it for weeks at a time, and if they did it in the first hour, people would actually tune in on what the fuck is going on if they heard it on social media or fucking read it on the internet. Because I'll tell you what, people would be tuning in for this shit, trying to find out what the hell is going on, whether this is a fucking a work or this is real. And either way, it wouldn't fucking matter because it'd get people talking. Right now, this company, all it's being talked about is negative, 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 and that's what this is all about. This was positive. This was a positive insight in WWE, but this is Triple H giving us a really good show. And that's all Vince McMahon has to do with WWE, and he'd be fine. Nobody would care. Nobody would care anymore about all the things he's done in the past. People would actually appreciate what he's doing now. And he'd gain his audience back. Because deep down, people really love this. But they can't sit there and put themselves through and torture themselves to watching this crap. And I'd come back most definitely if he could provide us actually good wrestling and good entertaining storylines that actually build towards something instead of being a complete mockery. By the way, going back to Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano lost the World Championship at the end because his knee played out a role in this match. Oh my God, go figure. Paying attention to detail. Paying attention to detail. Unbelievable idea. His knee was given out on him. So Adam Cole hits the Canadian Destroyer that he changed the name of and named it for his own self, and then hit the last shot behind the head and got the 1, 2, 3 and picked up the victory, and that's how the match ended. This matchup I give a 5 out of 5 stars. Very good matchup all around from beginning to end, from bell to bell. This was the fucking best match on the card. Unbelievable show. If you didn't see it, go watch it. It is so much fun to watch. It is better than any fucking worthless piece of crap that you'll see on the WWE main roster. Now, before I go, I'm going to say this much. This show was actually better than AEW, but AEW competed very close, in my personal opinion, with NXT TakeOver. It was a very close event between the two. They both gave us something worth watching. Anyway, guys, hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to this channel. And leave a comment down below, and I'll get back to you on that. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.